I've been canceled. I've been canceled before they had cancel culture.
Mr. Beast is getting cancelled for this.
Now everyone's afraid of getting canceled.
You benefited, right? They came after you and you had a big boost.
2 million subscribers in a month I gained.
How hard is it to get canceled in 2024?
Can't believe it. Family Guy's been canceled again.
No one can really get canceled anymore. Canceling as a very concept is so completely outdated. All it is a hyperbolic statement from people who have gotten pushback online. And I wanted to talk about that just like very briefly in this video, because I see tons of comments that, people saying that I'm trying to cancel people, or I've been canceled, or Joe Rogan's been canceled, Andrew Huberman, or whatever. And I think that by and large, people are living in an alternate reality of the past. Right, in the olden days, in, let's say, the 1970s, or maybe all the way up into 2010s, TV shows would be sponsored by major networks, whether they be Fox's or HBO's or Netflix's or ABC's. And there would be lots of money on the line. There would be, millions of dollars in production costs and limited amounts of spectrum or airwave time that something would be put on. And occasionally, when an actor would say something absolutely crazy or get involved in like a sex scandal, Kevin Spacey, for instance, in House of Cards, he was accused of all sorts of rape charges.
Kevin Spacey is just broken down on the Piers Morgan show because he doesn't have any money anymore.
They were ultimately dismissed later, but his show was literally canceled. House of Cards was literally taken off the air. And that is, he was canceled. And that became a term with Me Too, and then later with Black Lives Matter, where people would be attacked online from, social media outrage on Reddit or whatever. And to some degree, even in the professional sphere, like professors could lose their job, or people in corporations could lose their job when they were canceled because the social media outrage provoked an institution to remove them.
Interview appeared. 2 days later, I was coerced out of the campus, condemned by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Group.
So I recently got fired from an evangelical Bible college for tweeting about homosexuality.
But we live in a new media age. We live in a media age where people like me, I control a YouTube channel, very, very small YouTube channel, but obviously people like Joe Rogan, people like Kanye West, Taylor Swift, Aubrey Marcus, on and on and on, these people who have their own YouTube channels. And the only way to get someone removed from their YouTube channel is to have the platform actually intervene. And that does happen incredibly occasionally. For instance, Russell Brand was demonetized, which is sort of like being canceled.
There's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And
he still seems to be doing quite fine. We often see comments, I have been canceled, or you have been canceled, or I will cancel you, or things like that, as if there is an authority figure out there really standing up to remove people for objectionable content, whether it's too far left or too far right or too far sort of on some other axis. And I think we need to stop even thinking this thing exists. Because on Joe Rogan, for instance, as he said in the opening clips of this message, said when he was canceled for COVID misinformation, he gained 2 million followers.
What was also wild to watch was people's responses. I gained 2 million subscribers during that time.
What these social media platforms want is engagement. They want rage. They want bait. They want the things that bring people and start talking about you. And canceling has actually become a marketing technique. You want to be canceled, as in you want to get rage from people, because the power to cancel you only lies in the platforms. And in general, the platforms don't remove people, at least not very often. And frankly, I don't really want to be in a world where YouTube, Facebook, why should these large corporations be defining what speech should be? Like that, it leads to this dystopian world. And now we live in this place where canceling is just flim-flam. It's just a way to get rage. And it's also not even possible for you to write a really, really angry comment that has any sort of meaningful impact to remove people, which does lead us to this other problem. Okay, now here's the big problem. In the 70s, when Nixon was clearly involved in some pretty terrible graft.
People have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
He was involved in break-ins in his Democratic opposition, planting evidence, all sorts of really bad things. And he was canceled by America because of shame, right? He wasn't actually kicked out of office. He was about to be impeached. He left office beforehand. Doesn't really matter on those details, except to say that he felt a certain element of shame for his actions and then took the responsible action of leaving. That no longer exists in the world. Shame, the idea that your personal history, your personal actions, they actually don't carry much weight. Look at the almost appointing of Matt Gaetz, a guy who has serious charges against him for sex trafficking, almost became the attorney general. I know he ultimately did leave because a few senators ultimately, took him down. But, we elected a president who has been convicted of crimes.
I did try and fuck her. She was married. I done her like a bitch. When you're a star, they let you do it. Grab him by the pussy.
We have the pardoning of Hunter Biden. We live in a world, and I'm not trying to be political here. I just want to point out that we live in a world where past actions don't matter. And it would be sort of cool if there was an element of personal censorship, some sort of consequences when people are bad actors. But I am not seeing it. I am not seeing that guy who in the opening of this, I think his name was Yikes, said, "Can I get canceled in 2024?
How hard is it to get canceled in 2024?
No, you cannot be canceled. No one else has that power to do it for you, especially if you're working in the sort of social media open space where we are now. In fact, in general, you want to be the target of an organized canceling campaign because all that does is drive engagement and increase views. Yeah, well, that's the world today. That's all I wanted to say for now. Canceling, it doesn't exist. I am uncancelable. And so are a lot of other people.